Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show. This episode is brought to you by The Wellness Paradigm, a holistic health coaching company shifting the way that women understand and heal their bodies. Through bioenergetic testing, functional lab testing, and functional nutrition, we uncover what traditional approaches often overlook, so you can stop guessing, start healing, and finally feel like yourself again. No more one-size-fits-all protocols, just real answers, deep-rooted healing, and the clarity and confidence you deserve to feel incredible. It's time to shift the paradigm of women's health. Now, on to our show. Good afternoon, Désirée.
Hi.
I'm so excited you're here. Désirée is an absolute gem. Not only great at what she does, but also just a beautiful person that I have the honor of knowing personally as well. And she has some really unique insights that I'm really excited to bring onto the show. She actually helps parents shift out of power struggles and frustrations with their kids and build deep relationships and true partnerships with them, which I think is really incredible. And she does this through true transformative coaching, intentional parenting strategies. She gives a lot of tools and guidance needed to cultivate deeper relationships, heal generational patterns, and create a relationship with their children that feels strong, trusting, and deeply fulfilling. So, Désirée, first of all, welcome. I
Thank
would
you.
love for you to just tell the audience a little bit more about who you are and how you got started in this world of coaching.
Yeah, so I love my story. So I'm the mom and bonus mom of four kids, ages 16 to 23. And when my 23-year-old was growing up, we just had a hard time. Like we were tight, super tight when they were a baby and even like a toddler. And then all of a sudden, it's like, I don't even know what happened. And by the time they were like in first grade, it started struggling, second grade, like even preschool, really, the struggle started, right? Because your kid at some point, it's obvious they have their own mind that's not necessarily just a replica of yours, and it didn't handle that well. I thought kids would be like little soldiers, like I say they're happy to do, and it apparently doesn't work that way. That, like their mother, they have a mind of their own. And so by the time that my kid was, 13, it had just gotten so bad. I'm like, I was counting the days till they turned 18, and so were they. And nobody wants to be in that position of like, I can't stand my own kid. I love them, and I also can't stand them. And they couldn't stand me either, and rightfully so. And I worked with a parenting coach when they were 13, and that just the breath of fresh air that we needed, the guidance, the tools, oh my God, it really doesn't have to be this hard, even through the teen years. And so now, like I said, they're 23 years old and they call me frequently. They're going to come spend a few days with me. They live several hours away, but they're coming and bringing their family to stay with me for a few days. And our relationship is just so different than it was. I just needed someone to show me the way. I knew what I was doing wasn't what I wanted to do, and I could see it wasn't working, even though I was kind of in denial because we just think if we keep doing it more, eventually it'll work, and it definitely doesn't. And no one that I knew how to offer anything other than traditional parenting, which is what created the mess we were in.
For sure. And I think we're going to explore these different topics and different, discussions around this. But I think this is really important because I don't think people realize there are parenting coaches,
I didn't.
No, and that's what I'm going to assess because I think a lot of people, they struggle, and then maybe they go see a therapist, which no shade to that at all. But they can offer different kinds of support. And I feel as if there's a big gap. So I'd be curious, how did you find a parenting coach? And this is different probably than now. I know, social media is a little different. And what prompted you to just pull that, be like, hey, this is the route I want to go?
Yeah. So it was actually someone that I knew. We had been in a coaching container together, both being coached by the same person. And we didn't even know each other well, but we're both very spiritual, intuitive people. And she leaned on her divine guidance that said, offer this to Désirée. And she was like, really? Because we didn't know each other that well. And I was just at the highest peak probably of struggle and trying so hard. Like today, I am not going to yell. I swear, not one time. And it'd be like 10 a.m. and I'm already yelling. I'm like, okay, tomorrow I'm not going to yell. Like, and it just every day we started over. And she messaged me one day. She's like, hey, I've got something I want to offer you. And I'm like, all right, I know what an amazing woman she is. And I don't know what she's going to offer because I still didn't know parent coaching was a thing. I had no idea she was getting certified as a coach. And I'm like, but whatever it costs, I don't have the money. I'm a single mom. I'm struggling enough. Things are hard. I don't have the time, energy, money, nothing. And then she shared with me what she was doing. And I was like, oh my God, this sounds amazing. And she's like telling me how much it was at the time. And she's like, and obviously I can't offer this for free except for one time because she had to have a free client to get her certification. And I just started bawling. I mean, sobbing uncontrollably because I so desperately needed it. And it was just handed right to me. And I, even still today, this day, I can feel the relief and the gratitude. Like when someone shows you a little empathy and then all of a sudden all the tears come. And I knew, like I had been learning from Dr. Shafali or everyone who did something different. I had tried every parenting style I could find. And this was the biggest gift ever.
Wow, I love that. And, we speak on this podcast a little more about intuition and things like that, but it's crazy when you get that pull. You're like, I don't know why I feel this way, but I feel the need to reach out. And you really can change somebody's life, I mean, think about your trajectory of your whole life had she not reached out to you, not even with your kids, with the little business,
I can't imagine. Because it changed my life. It changed my kids' lives then and now, like who they be. And now my oldest has a partner that has 2 kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so the cycle could repeat or it could not, like now a new cycle repeats, right? And then I've touched the lives of so many, like my clients that have had results and it's literally like the ripples just go. And if she hadn't followed that, all of us would still be suffering and struggling. It would have been bad. My kid and I would probably not be talking now. Seriously, it was that bad.
Yeah. So I'm curious. So somebody that's like, okay, sounds cool. What the hell is parenting coaching? Like, explain a little bit more on kind of what you do. Walk me through that process.
Yeah. So I love to listen. I love to listen to what's going on. Mm-hmm. And I am very intuitive and I have extensive training. And so between those, I am able to hear and see things that the parents don't realize, like, oh, that's coming from here. Oh, like you're upset because of this, or your kid's doing that because of this, or oh, when you do this, this is why they're doing that. And I can kind of connect those dots so they can see it and then offer them something to try instead. Be like, okay, so if this happens here, let me show you, actually, let's try this. And I'm telling you, my clients have come to me and thought I was absolutely crazy because I had one couple that came to me years ago and they're like, we need better punishments for our kids. The ones we're giving are not working. And at that time I was offering like a curriculum type program and the video for week 1 was like, all right, I'm gonna show you how to parent without punishments. And the dad was like, nope, I'm out. I'm not doing this. I'm not gonna be bowing down to my kids with no punishments. I came to you saying I need better punishments. And this person's saying no punishments. I'm not doing this. I'm out. But his wife ended up staying with me. She's still with me. She's one of my best clients. And he was just watching the difference. The kids would do something and she was responding differently. So then the kids responded differently. And he was like, what is even going on here? How is that? What are you doing? Why is this not happening the way it used to? And now he gets it. And now they have amazing relationships with their kids. And it's just such a different world. Not that they didn't have amazing relationships, but they're more peaceful, they're emotionally safe, they're more connected. It's different. And so I help parents recognize that they really do have all the power to change it. They're not at the mercy of their kids, waiting on their kids to change for things to change. Because I used to think if they just stop getting on my nerves, I'd stop yelling. But that's really not what it is. And so I show them their power, and I don't mean like power over, but their power of influence, that when you step up and lead with love and compassion, anyone you're around naturally responds. So when you change one piece of the machine, the way the machine comes together, the whole thing changes.
Yes. Do you find that there is resistance when do you coach primarily the female or do you coach parents together? I'm sure that's the ideal situation. And if so, are you finding that men tend to be a little bit more hesitant? Probably just coaching in general. I think a lot of people, if they're not entrepreneurs, are a little bit more like, you're paying somebody to be a parent coach. You know what I mean? I feel like there's a lot of skepticism. Yes. And it could be the best thing that they do, but do you find that that is maybe a barrier?
I will coach anyone, any gender, couples, not co-parents, not individuals, whatever. I have had more mothers. And I think, unfortunately, in our society, at least here in the US, we've kind of gone too far in one direction that we don't need men. And we have, unfortunately, so many single moms and people who don't know how to co-parent together supportively and positively in really healthy ways for a lot of reasons, that we've pushed men out and we've pushed fathers out and made them feel unneeded and unwelcome and like they're not useful. And it's really the opposite. We do need them. They are useful. They have a very solid role. And so I have coached men and they've had phenomenal results, and I have their testimonials as well. And I love that because even in my group, it's probably 90% women and 10% men, and not to exclude any other gender or non-binary, but Unfortunately, I just think in the space of parenting, there's a lot of groups just for moms. My group is for everybody. Even if you're not a parent, if you're a grandparent raising kids, if you're, an aunt or uncle or someone, if you are working, a lot with kids. I have some teachers in the group that don't have kids yet, but they're working with kids. So yeah, unfortunately, I think it's just because we've created a situation where fathers don't feel welcome or comfortable. But in my group, everybody's welcome and everybody has a safe space to be comfortable, to be seen, and to be supported.
I love that. I love that. Uh, Now I'm curious, what would be one or two of the top things that people would come to see you for that they're trying to, work through, move through?
Oh, one of the biggest I see is disrespect. They're
Hmm.
like, my kid has no respect for me. They're talking back to me. I tell them put their shoes on and they don't. They're in their room playing with toys. I have a teenager that's giving me back talk, giving me attitude, and doesn't want to do what I say. They don't listen. They don't help out around the house. And parents see that as disrespect. And nothing, I don't think, goes through a parent worse, like fingernails on a chalkboard, than either being told no or
Hmm.
then being treated in a way that they don't see as respectful. So that's one of the biggest. And then, I mean, with teenagers, their phones or constantly being in headphones or in their room. But those are some of the biggest ones that I'm seeing right now.
So, a parent's coming in, their kid's disrespectful, whatever the meaning of that word means to them. Where are you kind of starting with them and helping them move through, you know, understanding a little bit more on what's going on and how that like them and their kid can be a little bit more on the same page?
Yeah, it's these are my favorite topics, like this and like anger and all. I just love it because I want the parent to explain, like to tell me, what are you seeing that you're seeing as disrespectful? Like, what is your child doing? Like specifically, like if you're looking through the lens of a camera and we can't see any judgment around it, we can only see, well, they were supposed to be at school at 8 and it's now 10 and they're still in bed, not they're lazy, not things like that, because those are the judgments. So I get them down to what's actually happening. And then usually I can help them I want them to see the humanity in their child, whatever their age is. I don't care if they're 4 or 14 or 24, that your child is a human being and they do have their own feelings and needs and preferences. And as much as we don't want to hear it, theirs don't always align with ours. They might want something different than we want. They might prefer something else. They may need something else in the moment. And so I invite them into a situation where we're creating agreements that work for everyone, not just the parent and not just the kid. And when you invite your child into the conversation, you really hear them first, you let them share, and you don't make them wrong, and you don't put them down like, oh, you're just a kid, what do you know? Like none of that. Like we're hearing them like you would listen to another adult. And then give them the same consideration you would give to another adult. Okay, I hear it. Like you want McDonald's for dinner and we're going out to a nice restaurant. So what kind of agreement could we make that works for everyone? Maybe you get McDonald's on the way. Maybe you're helping them build a healthy relationship with food and going, okay, since we had McDonald's the day before yesterday, how about if we have a healthy dinner together tonight and then we do McDonald's again this weekend? But you're asking your kid what they're willing to agree to and not forcing it. Because when a kid enters into an agreement willingly, of their own volition, they're usually a lot happier to honor that. They're a lot more likely to. And they feel a natural sense of respect for you because you showed them respect and consideration. So it changes the entire dynamic. It's not about, well, who wins? Because if somebody has to win, that means somebody has to lose. And if you're creating a win-lose situation in your relationship with your kid, unfortunately, both people lose. And what you lose is the connection. What you lose is the genuine respect. And I want to say you lose the love, but sometimes the kids start not to love themselves because they feel like they can't do anything right. They don't deserve a voice. So I really just kind of help them reframe the whole situation and see how to invite their kids to be part of the conversation and part of the solution. And they keep kind of negotiating until they find something that works for everyone. And then usually my favorite thing, if it's like, what time do we go to bed or how much screen time do we get? Try it for a week. If your kid wants to stay up till 4 a.m., listen to why and share why you think this time might help them, support them better, not be better, but this might help you stay awake during school, have energy to play after school or whatever. Try it for a week. Go to bed at 4 a.m. Let's just check in every day, see how you feel. One of my clients that of course thought I was crazy, by the end of the week, her kid was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm exhausted. I'm going to bed at 9 of their own volition. Like they chose it. And now there's no more argument. There's no more power struggle. So yeah, just inviting them to the conversation and then experimenting with anything just to see how it goes. Meet up in a week and talk about any tweaks. How did it go? Talk about any tweaks you want to make and then try something new.
I love that. Making me laugh a little internally because I have like a 19-month-old where I'm like, if we're up to him, he would have bananas 7 times a day. And there's no reasoning with it, but this is a different point in my life than a 17-year-old. Um,
Right.
but let me figure out how to phrase this. So much of what you do impacts generations. And I really think that this is underplayed. People do not understand the impact that the work that you do is impacting your grandkids and your grandkids' grandkids. I mean, in the mental health space, obviously, I talk about the wellness space. All of this is so impactful. Yes, we want it for ourselves, but like, how cool is that? Now, a question I have is when you're working with people, a lot of, I feel like power dynamics stem from also lack of self love and self respect for yourself and things maybe we don't want to address. And I know you are so big in self development and, the inner work. You
Yes.
bring that in with your clients as well.
You have
I
to
feel
do
like
the
that's
inner
an
work.
obvious yes, but I would love
It
for you
is.
to
Well,
explain that.
but I would have never known because I thought a parenting coach is just going to tell him to do this, tell him to do that, tell him not to do this, tell him how, when, why. Like I had no idea that it all was my inner work. All of it. All of it. None of it had anything to do with the kids, honestly. So when I wanted to be like, here, fix my child, like, when they're not broken anymore, I'll come back and pick them up and then things will be fine. But if
Yeah.
you just replant that child back in the same environment that created the way that they were being, I would have had the same problems because I wasn't changing. And
Yep.
so when I did stuff from like my own childhood, releasing my own pain and trauma, learning how to communicate differently, forgiving myself or my parents or anyone else or my co-parent that wasn't showing up the way I wanted him to, whatever it was, when I did my work on me, everything changed. And my kids could feel that I felt different. They still going to poke a little and see, wait a minute, she didn't yell because the dishwasher wasn't unloaded. Well, what if I don't unload it? And what if my room is a mess? And what if I moved the couch into the garage while she was at work? That did happen. Like, where's the couch? Is she going to be mad? Like, and they're going to test it to make sure that you for real have changed. And then when you keep showing up, and sometimes you'll slip and that's okay. We're human. It doesn't just flip like a switch always. Sometimes it does, and that's great. But if it doesn't, so I'm like guiding and supporting the parents through their own healing, through their own evolution. And it runs deep. And so when you're healing the generational trauma going back, oh, what that does for the generation going forward. Like I literally can take the biggest deep breath like every time because it almost feels like an elephant on your chest, like this heavy weight. And it's like, because I don't know what to do. And then when you have someone guide you, it's like, oh, the weight comes off and I can breathe and my kids can breathe. And now, like I said, with my 23-year-old co-parenting, I don't worry that they're going to just treat the kids like me, like I did, because they have a different example. And they have a mom who's a parenting coach that they can call to be like, all right, before I flip, what can I do here?
Have they called you and been like SOS?
I've told them, I'm like, listen, when you're in that, they've shared some things that have happened. And I'm like, okay, well, I think, he's needing this. And I think this is what's going to, it's harder when it's like not in, which is a conversation and kids are running around talking, while we're talking. But I'm like, listen, if you're ready to lose it, call me in the red hot moment and I'll help you through that moment too. Like, and if we want to do sessions, we'll do sessions. Like, and I'm your mom. And so like, it's cool. Like, take the benefit. So yeah, I'm just grateful that they trust me now in a way they wouldn't have 10 years ago because I wasn't their safe space, because I was angry and I was blaming and I was shaming and giving consequences and things. And so now we've got a relationship that's safe and they can call.
I love that. I love that. It's really, I feel like the power of that is not emphasized enough for people. Yeah. Because you can have a great relationship and still not have it be a safe space. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And I've had clients come with that exact scenario. And then after our work, it became a safer and safer space. And it lasts like,
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure through this process too, not only does your relationship with the kids get better, but your relationship with your, if you have a spouse, with your family, whatever that
yeah,
looks like, gets better too, which is an added bonus.
it literally does. The benefits of this spill over because, again, all the work is in the parent. And when they're relieved of pressure and stress and bitterness and resentment they've been holding and anger and feeling out of control or powerless or helpless, and you shift all that, it does. That person is different in their marriage, at work, in their business. And I had that experience as a client, and I've had my clients tell me the same, that even at work, the way they're responding, like doctors that I've worked with, are different with their patients. And then I've got one that's a nurse in an OR, and she's like, just the way I talk to the people in the operating room is different because the skills, the healing, it spills over everywhere.
Oh, and also from my health perspective too, when you heal this too, people's health gets better. When you don't have that constant stress and nagging of, the kid, the stress. People do not realize the impact that that stress has on their body.
Oh,
It's like constantly like scraping a scab, and it's never
hmm
wonder why we have certain metabolic things that we can't heal despite all of the supplements of the diet. It's like, well, you got to do the inner work, the self-love, and maybe there's a relationship dynamic too that can be healed. And I have seen that with people literally drop weight. Their autoimmune stuff goes more into remission. And it's like, it's so,
yeah.
right?
Yes, I so agree.
Yeah. Kind of flipping the switch on what are some of your favorite transformations that you've seen with clients? Um,
Mm.
Maybe just one, two, three that kind of stand out in your mind.
Oh, so I had a client a few years ago who had a teenage daughter who had just closed off completely to him and just would not communicate to nothing. We did 5 sessions together because he was already like a fairly conscious, open-minded parent. Normally, I don't do anything less than 3 months unless somebody's kind of already in this world, because otherwise there's just more work that needs done. And I want to make sure they've got time for the result to come through. And in just 5 sessions, everything changed. And they had open conversation. She wanted to talk to him, wanted to share, wanted to, it was just totally different. I have a client, just who they had a great relationship with their kid. And then still there was just like, still something just was not where she wanted it to be. And now it's been 5 years since we worked together, and her daughter is a young adult now and about to become a mother herself. And I got to be with her mom as she helped her daughter through some very difficult situations in her life. And she was her daughter's safest space in the world. So even now, going through the rest of her teenage years and young adult years, they are so solid in their relationship. The trust, the peace, the mutual respect and love, it was already good. And now it's deeper and even more solid. I mean, and then of course the one that, they wanted better punishments and would absolutely not ever even dream of punishing now. Not saying that we just let everything go, because that's not the answer either, but they're able to meet their kids where they are and come up with solutions that really actually do work for everyone. And it's just, the difference is massive. The difference I love when their kids will tell the parents like how much they love and appreciate me, even if I've never met them or spoken with them, because they know that working with me is what changed it. And they'll send me screenshots of text messages, like with their kids' permission, like, oh my God, I love the relationship we have now. Thank you so much. And then my own too. My kid has thanked me many times over the years for doing the deep work so we can have the relationship we have.
Well, doesn't that make you like heart explode?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad they're so forgiving because they didn't have to be. And that they were able to go, yeah, mom was struggling and this is who she is now, and be so accepting.
And I mean, I'm speaking for you, but I do see this. It's like, giving your kids time too. I think sometimes we try to rush the process, and even I'm sure if they're working with you, it's like
Yeah.
it's not working quick enough, and kids are on their own timeline too. So,
Mhm.
whether they forgive now or 2 years from now or 5, whatever that looks like. Not that they need to forgive. You didn't do anything wrong. You know what I mean? You were just acting the way that you knew and had the, skills to work with. But
Mhm.
do you see that too, where it's like, hey,
Mm.
what we're doing is working. It's just like, I know this is with my wellness. It's like we're planting the seeds, right? And it's like sometimes we need to keep watering it, and then it takes a few,
Yeah.
sometimes something will sprout really quickly, and sometimes it's going to take some time to do that too. And you see that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say, for my kids, forgiveness was a thing, because I needed to apologize for the ways that I had treated them that they never deserved. And at the time I thought that was the right thing, but, and I'm grateful they did. But that's the thing, is they're going to give you plenty of opportunities to practice what you've learned with me. Like they just are. My kids did, my clients' kids will just, let me just test the waters and see if this is for real. Can I get her to break? Or can I get them to break? And it's, the more consistent, the more they can feel the real shift in us, I feel like the faster it happens. Because honestly, with my clients, every single one of them, before our first session, the transformation already happens. And I've had several tell me that, because once they've decided, once the parent has committed to doing this work, they show up differently. Even having just said, yes, let's do it, before the first session. It happened with me. It's happened with my clients, and the kids can feel. I mean, they're perceptive like animals. Like they can feel the shift. They're very connected with their own intuition and with energy, and it's amazing. So it can happen slowly. It can happen quickly. I feel like the work I do with my clients now, it happens so fast. And my most recent, within the first month, she was experiencing massive changes and was absolutely blown away.
I love that. You had said something earlier that I wanted to tap on, but shoot, now I can't rember.
Was it about forgiveness?
I can't.
No. Okay. Okay.
The train left the station on that one.
Okay.
I think if somebody was maybe struggling a little with their children, wanting help, exploring coaching, but again, maybe didn't even realize that that was a thing, thought they had to suffer. Listening to this podcast, what would be one or two kind of little tidbits of, I call them little nuggies, little nuggets of advice you would give somebody if they were listening?
I would, you know what I've asked myself, there's a couple of things that I would do just to change, to help me change the way I was showing up. Because you have more impact, more influence on your kids than you realize. And one is I would ask myself, what would it feel like to be parented by me? Like to have me for a mom. And that got my attention because it would have been miserable. It would have absolutely been miserable. I would have hated it because I would have been on edge constantly, waiting for the next thing she was going to tell me that I was doing wrong and needed to fix. And it's like, oh, honey, we love you. We just hate almost everything you do. Like, it doesn't feel good to receive that. And so that helped me to start paying attention. Like, what would I need from my mom? If I were my own kid, what would I be needing from me? And that helped me a little, just to at least recognize I wouldn't need criticism. I wouldn't need judgment. I wouldn't need shame or guilt or any of that. And then if I really needed to like shift, I would imagine that someone I didn't know, especially when I was a single mom, like what if it was someone I was newly dating and he was standing right here? How would I speak to my children? Like, well, then I need to speak to them that way in private because it's respectful, it's loving, it's compassionate, and not being like yelling at them. So those were things that kind of helped get my attention. Just know that there is support here. There is so much love and help available. And, really just lean into what's available. Like try it out, check it out, do a consultation, something. But now that we know parent coaching is a thing, because I didn't know it was a thing whenever I discovered it. And now we're almost 10 years later. It's crazy.
That's awesome. Where can people find you if they want to explore this a little bit further?
Yeah, so I am on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. If you have preteens, teens, or young adults, I do have a free Facebook group. And I would love to have you in there because we address topics, parenting a 15-year-old is nothing like parenting a 5 or 10-year-old. You are dealing with things like vaping or sex or sneaking out at night or driving, or there's just so much that you don't deal with a small child, hopefully, that do come about in the teen years. Plus, you've got someone who's really moving into independence and autonomy and adulthood, and finding that balance can be such a struggle. So I literally have a safe space just for parents of teens and then preteens, young adults, just to get support tailored specifically to them because it's never too late and it's never too early. If you have an infant, it is not too early. This is the perfect time to start planting those seeds because this will really set the foundation, like the soil they're growing in.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that you mentioned the Facebook group because I feel like, newborns is toddler age, they get a lot more attention, a lot more support, and then we kind of forget down the road about all of this other group that really needs equally the same amount of support, but in a different capacity.
Yeah.
So, I love what you're doing. Thank you for sharing this. I'm going to link her Facebook group and social media down in the show notes. So if you guys want to follow her, connect with her, if you listen to this and you're like, oh my gosh, I really want to share that. I really liked this. I'm sure Désirée would love it if you sent her a message, told her a good takeaway, or me. I always get a lot of gratitude when I hear good takeaways that you guys had, or leaving a review. Very grateful if you do that as well. But otherwise, Désirée, I want to thank you so much for being here, and thank you if you're listening as well. And we will catch you guys on the next show.